Hello, John.
You know what?
So the question today we're asking is, are modern times penal times? Because that's the way it appears, So we look at healthcare and hospitals. Okay, so hospitals once run by religious orders, such as the new maternity hospital, are now effectively nationalized with religious ethos stripped out, despite the institutions being founded by religious communities. Okay, if we look at education, schools founded by religious orders are being forced to secularize. If you look at RTE, broadcasters such as RTE often mock or marginalize expressions of faith. So there's a few examples there of where people who are religious are being marginalized.
Yes. The thing is that hospitals were run by nuns and they did a very good job. Mercy, the Mater Hospital was run by nuns, and there was often they were looking for donations as well at times. The Mater Hospital and various other hospitals around, and the Sister Charity ran St. Vincent's. Originally, it was in um, Stephen's Green, and then they moved to bigger premises out in Bridge, and did a great job out there. But subsequently, and of course, then in the schools, they taught in primary schools and secondary schools, and they did great work there in the Christian Brothers and the Presentation Brothers, the Marist Brothers. So you had the Sisters of Mercies and the Presentation Sisters. And in Boy, where I was, the nuns there, a particular nun did great work with getting certain girls all into the civil service, giving them special tuition. So this probably was replicated around the country as well, because jobs were very scarce in the country, and a lot of girls got into the civil service and did very well. And likewise, lads as well that wouldn't otherwise have to emigrate, perhaps. They did a great job in the education. And a lot of the people now that are denigrating the nuns and trying to find fault with them, they did such marvelous work that the state didn't do whatsoever. If it wasn't for them, there were a lot of children wouldn't have got a proper education. Don't forget, we came from where there was hedge schools, and so now the nuns are out of hospitals and they're out of the teaching in secondary schools, and in many ways they're being denigrated and abused by this ridiculous secular type of government that we have, and that seem to marginalise and treat people of faith without the due respect that they're entitled to, as if they're a kind of like a minority. For example, they talk about in the business of education, where Christian and the Catholic faith was taught and all the national and the primary schools, and now they talk about diversity. So therefore, it's anything goes, and they are also teaching diversity, what they call this gender business, and that young people can change their sex or something. As a matter of fact, 200 of them they sent to the Tavistock Institute in Britain, in London, which was closed down because of the way they operated. So I don't know what's going to happen to those ones that were sent 200 from here. So all this has happened without parents being fully informed. And so it's a very bad omen in many ways for the respect that's due to Irish people. They're being marginalised in their own country to cater for all these ones that they inflicted in the country. And one doesn't know what was the agenda for what they're about.
Yes. I think like if you look at churches and sorry, chapels inside the hospitals, they're also removing or calling them multi-faith rooms. So they're taking away the crucifix, and you'll see religious statues moved from
They have
inside
no
the
right to do
hospitals.
such a thing. They have no right to do such a thing, to do such a thing. This is the sort of they're like as if they're not respecting the Catholic faith in this country. I mean, people who are in hospital often went into these little churches and that and masses often celebrated there, and it was a relief. And crucifix was also a symbol that brought faith. It's one of the most important emblems of the Catholic faith. You see it in churches and all the rest of it. And so to remove those in the business of diversity or whatever old nonsense to come out with. So this government is not treating Irish people with the respect that they're due. If people are coming from other places, they should adapt to the culture that we have and not the other way about. That
That's it. I
this
think
government is.
I do recall there
Mhm.
about 2 years ago being in a hospital in the corridor at the reception area, and there was a nurse. She had just come in for work. She was starting her shift, and she was actually praying in front of the Our Lady statue. And it's something that I hadn't seen in a church before. And I thought to myself, that gives her the strength for her night shift, for her working night shifts, okay, that she's going to be working.
Yeah.
She was there praying, blessing herself, saying her prayers, looking up at the corner of this corridor where there was a statue of Our Lady. And that's a lady practicing her faith, an Irish woman, okay, an Irish nurse. And that's what helps her. She has strong faith, obviously, and she's conviction because she was doing this in public. And I thought it was nice, and I thought to myself, God, imagine if someone took away her statue. It wouldn't be very
Well,
nice,
that's
would it?
what they've done, and that's what they've taken away. Like, and when people are in hospital, Irish people, they're beginning to be very much affected by the fact that their life might be over shortly. So they want some emblems to represent their Catholic faith by way of a cross, and people can say prayers and which to do, and priests used to be able to inquire in hospitals. For Catholic patients so as they could attend to them and give them some spiritual guidance in the condition that they might be in, depending on their ages. And it doesn't matter. People can be in hospital from a young age and get to have accidents and so on and so forth, and farms and all the rest of it, and bicycles. But now they can't do that. The people have to request them. So they're putting obstacles, much like the people did years ago, that Catholics couldn't have even get jobs, and now they can't. The little churches and Catholic places now have been changed to be for other ones. I mean, this is Ireland. What is wrong with the crowd that's running this country? Um, Mind you, people are objecting, and there's marches all over the place objecting to what they're at. And I think arteries that were here heretofore should be left, and there shouldn't be nothing to do with people that have flooded the country from other directions. This is Ireland. It's not China or somewhere like that where you have all this anti-Catholic. It looks like an anti-Catholic bias by this state, and they were tongue in cheek to be at this, and
No.
people are objecting to it.
The government's argument will be, and it's an obvious one. They would say, well, we've 92 nationalities in the country now, and we've quite a few religions. We have to cater for everybody. The problem with that is that if by catering for everybody, they're flying the secular flag, and there's the issue.
Well, it's not right, and it's completely wrong. Full stop. Um, you know, most of our ancestors had to emigrate because there was no work here. So like they've gone around and now they're denying the Irish people the right to practice their Catholic faith in hospitals where heretofore they could go into the artery and there was a tabernacle there. So they took out the tabernacles, I presume, and make it looking like I don't know what. So that's a kind of all this is done underhand to my way of thinking. They're just doing it without informing the public that this is what they're at. And we can see the way they've treated, for example, the Buck family. That they weren't going to address somebody that was a biological male or something other than they didn't want to be, and they wanted to be addressed as something like whatever instead of a male, something else. Now the parents of that child should have taken that child out and try and got help for it, and the school should not adhere to this sort of carry on. But the trouble is, the state has this gender agenda that people can, if they feel that they're not the biological sex that they are, they can change it. So they're creeping in all this type of agenda, this type of stuff that most people, the pro-life people and all the rest of the people, are objecting to, not least the killing of the innocent and the abortion evil. So they're doing so much harm that you wouldn't know where to look. And the Buck family is Enoch Buck is a perfect example of the sort of persecution that he has to endure. And anyone that is not going to support what this crowd is doing, changing what was oratories for Catholics that they could say a prayer and help their relatives in the hospital to maybe make a recovery. This is denied them. And if they've removed crosses from hospital, that's a disgrace. I mean, they were put there. They were put there for a purpose. So it seems like this government doesn't respect the Irish or the Catholic faith, and they want to be held to account for it.
So there you go. That's what I thought anyway. That was the question for today. Are we living in penal times, in modern times? And it's possible
And
that
I
we
think
are. I think what we might do in another video is look at solutions. Is there workarounds? Is there a way of the two sides meeting each other and kind of coming to a compromise? There's always a way. And
so.
the other thing as well is, okay, who's the next liberator? The last time was Daniel O'Connell. I think it was somebody before him as well. So who are the
We certainly need,
liberators? Hmm.
yeah, we need a liberator now, and without a doubt, because this government is adopting policies that the the Irish Catholics suffered during the penal times, and it's coming in a very peculiar way, and they're using all these people that arrived in the country uninvited to sort of cater for them, and it's just like the penal times that suddenly Irish and Irish Catholics are being victimised in many ways. And I think we can certainly see it in the way that we have no independent candidates in this general election. So, like, wherever you look, you see this situation, you see this kind of control to not allow the independent voice to be heard. Now, I hope we have a couple of people strong-willed to stand up for this crowd that have done this. Uh, Leo Varadkar, when he was Taoiseach Shrub Prime Minister, started doing things that setting this agenda, and it's been carried on. They have some agenda, and it's not in our interest, whatever it is, and they're doing it in a very subtle way, removing the what was oratories in church. They have control of it. This is what they're doing. So they're denying Irish people the right to say their prayers in these hospitals for their loved ones that suffered. So we this reminds me of the penal times which we spoke about before. And as soon as you open your mouth about anything like and don't accept what they're doing, you're liable to be pilloried and abused.
That's it. So there we go. We will be covering the subject again, I'm sure. And thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Bye now.
Bye now.